So we're gonna talk about, with the cross-side escapes, first thing we're gonna talk about is really what happens when someone passes your guard, right? Someone passes, so that's most of the time when we get stuck in the bottom of cross-side, someone passes your guard, and then you end up on the bottom of cross-side. So the last thing we wanna do when someone passes our guard is to get flattened out, right? Someone passes the guard, if we get flattened out, that's when we really get stuck on the bottom of the cross-side. And that's the first thing we want when we're in the cross-side position, is to get to our side, right? And you hear coaches, if you ever watch people coaching jiu-jitsu, they're always like, get to your side, try to get sideways, right? Because once you're on your side, one, that relieves a lot of pressure, from the person on top. Two, it's kind of getting to your side is the first step necessary for all of your escapes from the cross-side position, okay? So that's a very, very important element, is how to get to your side, or how to prevent the person from putting you flat, yeah? And so, Mike, if you lay down, and yeah, you can be like that, perfect. So what happens is, once I pass his guard, a lot of times what's commonly taught is to use your hands as a frame to prevent the person from flattening you out, right? So for me, that's kind of the worst thing you can possibly do, is try to use your arms to prevent the person. Why? Because what happens is, anytime he's on his side, anytime my chest hits him, anytime my body weight hits him and he has pressure, look what happens to his body. So anytime pressure hits his hand, he automatically goes flat. Now the second thing that happens from here is, now he's also, because he's using his hand to block, he's also given up the underhook. And then this is why we get stuck in this head and arm position so much. Okay? And this, as most of you guys know, I think this is the cross-side position that most people use. I don't really use this head and arm position much, but I think this is what's most common in jiu-jitsu, right, guys? Mm-hmm. For most of you guys who've seen this position. This is a nightmare to get out of, right? And the reason it's such a nightmare to get out of is because you have your coaches yelling, get to your side, get to your side. But because he's lost the underhook, because I have control of his shoulder now, it's impossible for him to get to his side. So most of the time what we're stuck having to do is trying to recover guard. Does that make sense? Now in fighting, if we're talking in the context of fighting, thankfully with jiu-jitsu, we have enough skill that there's the possibility we can still win the fight from our bottom. But in a fight, that's the last place you want to be, is on the bottom. Okay? And you can see this in MMA. You've seen so many high-level jiu-jitsu guys, black belts in jiu-jitsu, where they get put on their backs, where they're supposed to be the masters on the ground, and they're getting the crap beat out of them by wrestlers. Right? A wrestler takes someone down. You can see this Faber Grigel. There's a super famous match a long time ago. I think it was Mark Kerr or Tom Air, and beat him up. And you see, there's wrestlers that made a career out of learning how to be safe, not get armbarred, not get choked, and beat the crap out of the person. So the guard, even though it's a powerful position in jiu-jitsu, when striking is involved, it's not that great of a position, right? It takes an incredible amount of skill and a lot of activity to be safe. While if you're on top, anytime you're on top, you're automatically safe, yeah? So from here, you're gonna stand up, Mike. Yeah. And I'll sit here. And so what happens if you're standing up, good, and you go to pass my guard, so I let you pass. Look where I put my hand. So my hand goes here. And the reason is because he's gonna automatically come to my chest, right? If I put my hand out to try to stop him, any little bit of pressure, just lean into me. You guys see what happens to my shoulder? Lean your weight into me. Look what happens. Automatically, I get flattened out. So I put my hand here. Go ahead and pass my guard. Flatten me out. Flatten me. Am I doing anything? Does it look like I'm working hard? Were you working? Yeah. Trying, yeah. Right? So just because I have this underhook, it's so difficult for him to flatten me out. So what I'm doing is I'm doing something very specific, okay? In order for him to flatten me out, he has to control my shoulder. And that's what happens when my hand comes here. So when my hand goes to block, any type of pressure, look what happens. My shoulder starts to go back, right? As soon as he hits my hand, the energy transfers into my shoulder and my shoulder gets flattened out, okay? So the first thing we're gonna play with is understanding the connection to the shoulder and how to prevent the person from ever being able to connect to your shoulder. So what I'm doing is, go ahead and pass my guard, Mike, okay. And you get here. And the reason I'm using Mike is obviously he's probably the last person you guys wanna get stuck on the bottom of cross-side, right? Of our group, you don't wanna get on the bottom of his, you don't wanna be stuck flat. So you guys see my underhook? If you guys can't see, you guys can always move around. Okay. So right now, I've given him a connection to my shoulder, and just go slow. We're not going to use this right now. Just push a little bit with your legs. You guys see how I'm getting flattened out? Do you guys see that? Yeah. How when he pushes? So right now, do you feel that connection with your shoulder, Mike? Yeah. Push a little bit. Yeah. So you feel my shoulder getting flattened out? Yeah. So anytime I feel him connect to my shoulder, what I'm going to do is I stretch my hand, and I'll go flatten me out. So I'm just stretching my hand towards the ground, and I turn my thumb down. So what that does is it completely kills his ability to connect to my shoulder, okay? So I'm gonna walk around and help all you guys too, so you guys can raise your hand, but I'll walk around and help all of you guys. So the first thing we're gonna learn right now is how to kill the connection to the shoulder so that you can't be flattened out. There's other elements, once we deal with that, there's other elements that he can try to do to try to control us, and we're gonna shut all those down. So the goal for today is to help you guys understand what are the elements that your opponent needs to be able to control you when you're on the bottom of cross-side, and how we can take all those elements away so that one, the person on top has zero control of you, and two, you can get up whenever you want. You can get up on your terms. You don't have to wait for them. You don't have to stay there and pretend to be safe when you're not, right? You can get up on your terms. Does that make sense? That was one of the most important things Hickson always taught me about being in bad positions. You want to develop the ability to get out when you want, not if they let you out, right? Or waiting for them to make a mistake, because who knows if the mistake will happen, yeah? So you have to be able to get out on your terms, yeah? So let's partner up. And so the first thing, what we're gonna do, yes, on your side. First thing we're gonna do is, I just want the person here, so we're not gonna be cross-facing. I just want the person up on their toes, connecting to the shoulder. And so the first thing is, don't just get flattened out, right? Yeah, you're gonna get flattened. And then the second thing, what we're gonna do is, as you feel the person pushing, just stretch your arm and take away the shoulder. Yes. Are you doing anything? Are you wasting much energy?
No.
No. Did it look like he was wasting much energy?
No.
Did it look like I was wasting energy?
Yes.
Okay, let's try that. And I'll come around and help you guys, so if you guys, need help, raise your hand, but let's try that, guys. So the goal is the first time, let them flatten you out. The second time, take away the connection of the shoulder. We're just stretching our hand and turning the shoulder over. Yeah? So thumb goes down, right? And that helps rotate the shoulder.